Welcome, everyone, to Wins and Lessons. We win some, we learn some, a podcast about fears, failures, and the fun of being a dad.
Yeah, and on today's podcast, we talk to Pastor Brian Blank, the father of my co-host, Mr. Nathan Blank.
Yes, sir.
And we just talk about a little bit about his upbringing, what his relationship with his dad was like, maybe some regrets, some redemption, and some advice for us dads in the middle of it about what's important. So we hope you enjoy it.
Yeah. So I know a lot of this, and some of it I don't know. But for us, Nathan, myself, and or other dads listening, kind of a few questions, right? But one, what would you share with us a little bit about your relationship with dad? This is a podcast about dads, about winning, not losing, but learning. So what were not so much what you learned and stuff from Pop.
Are we recording now?
Yeah.
Okay.
ABR, baby. Always be recording. What was the relationship like with your dad, my grandfather, growing up? What was that like?
All right. I'm going to go back a while.
Yeah, let's go.
So,
How far back?
I was blessed to grow up in a home where both my parents were following Christ.
Yeah.
My dad was active in ministry. So I've always been around Christian people for the most part, except when I was at school growing up and all that.
But all you knew was dad involved in vocational, some
Yeah,
realm
we
of
never
vocational
question who God is. It's just, this is how we roll. This is who we are.
Right.
So much so that I was 6 months old was the first time I was on a platform in front of a bunch of people,
Yeah.
about 500 people. My dad was he worked for Youth for Christ, and so he was doing a youth rally, a youth night, and there's like 500 people, and they were doing a skit.
Did you play Baby Jesus?
I wasn't Baby Jesus,
okay.
but I was apparently in the skit. They needed a baby, so that was my introduction to public ministry.
Okay.
But growing up in a ministry home, in those days, it was pretty much known if you're going to be a pastor, you're all out for Jesus and God will take care of your family.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, a lot of ministry kids grew up as orphans and wives were widows and one of their husband was saving the world.
So you're saying that back in those days, the husband or pastor was the ministry was his full-time sort of like obligation,
24/7.
and family came second, almost like God is first, family is kind of second. Kind of
That
thing.
is it.
Yeah.
Now, I think the pendulum has swung way too far the other way currently. When I look at current leaders, it's gone. And again, the Holy Spirit will correct it eventually. And so that's what it was like for me. So a lot of kids my age grew up hating the church, having no respect for God or for these things because they were basically grew up in an abandoned home.
Right.
And so I was blessed to have a father that was sensitive to that.
Yeah, I just saw a statistic this morning that was pastors' kids. 33% of pastors' kids actually wind up leaving the church. Now, that's not to say that actually the amount of pastors' kids that actually claim to be non-Christians is actually lower than the average. So you're not having pastors' kids falling away from Christianity per se, but they seem to be walking away from the church in like a higher percentage.
Right, yeah. And I think that's probably an improved number. It's probably in a good sense.
Yeah,
I would say my generation, that number was a lot bigger.
Do you think that is because just the disillusionment with the church as far as like fathers putting maybe the church first over the family?
Yeah, definitely, without a doubt. And then we're talking like 60 years ago, so I'm dating some things. The church was a whole lot more legalistic. And so I think that was a part of it. And so a lot of people grew up saying, why would I follow God? He just tell me everything I can't do. Where today we try and raise people, say, hey, you're free to do whatever you want to do, meaning that you're free to say no to that. Not like I can't say no because it's a legalistic decision. Like, no, you're free. not to participate in that. It's your choice now instead of like, you'll burn in hell if you have a cigarette or dance or
Yeah.
do those
Yeah.
kind of things. So with all that being said, I did grow up with some deep hurts, moving towards my dad, in that, when you become an adult and you become a father, you look back and you see parts of your parents where you realize they weren't jerks. They were doing the best they could, which I didn't know. My dad was working 3 jobs.
Right.
I didn't. You don't think about your dad working 3 jobs. And so a lot of times when he was absent, it was because it wasn't always serving in ministry. He was working another night job or whatever. But that became issues, but you don't know that. And so fast forward, and I've told this story before, I'll never forget. And this is my perspective. My dad's perspective, if he was here, he could probably share totally to like, well, that's not how it really was.
Which Pop is not here. For context, he passed away.
He passed away 2000 something. About 10 years ago, whatever, from this time. But I just recall, I was always active in sports, and I was blessed that my dad encouraged me to play every sport I could, not because I was good at it, but so that I could appreciate it later on in life, which I'm so thankful for. Hardly ever. I don't ever remember him coming to a Little League game. Like I've told this story. I found out I was on All Stars after we got back from vacation, and I said, "Hey, Dad, let's go watch the game." And so we get to the game, and they called me out of the stands to pitch in the game. And I was happy about that, but mad that I didn't even know I was on the team because we had been gone on vacation. So,
do you think they didn't know that? Do you think
Yeah,
Pop and Grandma didn't know that?
I don't think they were engaged enough to even understand that.
Sure.
And so, and you guys have boys. You understand what a big deal All-Stars can be to a young boy.
Yeah.
And then fast forward into high school, my father-in-law, because he's a sports nut even to this day at almost 90 years old, he was at all my games. And I was dating his daughter, and he knew my stats and everyone's stats, So to go from those two extreme views of my personal life as a selfish high school kid, it was really undisturbing, or very disturbing. I needed to become undisturbing. And so I can remember my senior year in football, the night when parents wear your jersey, that was the game my dad came to. And I was mad. And I smiled on the outside, but on the inside, I was thinking, how dare you put that jersey on and stand in front of the stadium of people?
Like you didn't earn it. Like you didn't earn it. You don't deserve to wear this. Like you haven't earned it. Yeah.
But that was my perspective.
Yeah.
What I didn't know is the reason he wasn't there is he was working,
Right.
so that I could play sports, so I could do these things. And so there's always two sides.
Yeah.
That's the beautiful thing about God's grace and becoming a parent. You see things differently. So now fast forward, I'm married. It's bad. I mean, my wife Robin's going, honey, you've got issues with your dad. You've got to correct this. She goes, we can't spend the rest of our life. I mean, it was just, I didn't hate him, but she could just tell there was something. And so I'll never forget this. I said, okay, I promise I'll talk to him. And so I planned this out for months, that I had my own company, and I said, hey, Dad, you want to go with me to work? And so you could be with me all day, and then we'll go have breakfast. And so I planned this out for months. I even planned where I'd take him for breakfast when we're done, because I was going to unload on him, and I wanted to be in a restaurant so I wouldn't lose my cool. And he had no idea this was coming. To him, it was like, this is great. I get to hang out with you. And and at this point, his life, we're all different phases in our life. He's still working my dad worked 3 jobs until he came and worked with us. Up until that point, he was pastoring a church full time, as many hours as he could. He was the dean of school theology full time. And then he'd still preach during the week as a guest speaker, until he was his late 60s. And so he's always a busy man. So for him to take 4 hours to come with me to spend the day, it was a big deal. And so we get done, and we're in this restaurant. I can picture the restaurant. I close my eyes. I can be in the booth right now. And hey, Dad, there's something I want to talk to you about. I said, okay. And in my mind, I'm getting ready for this battle for him to. And so I took about 10 minutes and I threw up all over him. I mean, I went back naming dates, naming times. And I'm just refilling my bullets back in my gun. I got more to go. And I look over at him and he didn't respond at all like I was ready for. Like I was ready for hey, let's get into this. And I looked across the table and he's crying. And he said, "You're right. I'm sorry." That was the answer I did not want him to say.
Right.
I wanted to fight. I wanted to get into it. And he started crying in a restaurant, and told me some things from his side of the story that I'd never heard before or whatever. And that changed our relationship drastically. And after that, he became the person that Nathan grew up to know, because we didn't have kids at this point, but he became a loving person, a physical person, a hugger.
Affectionate.
Yeah. I didn't know any of that.
So are you saying that after you had that conversation, he actually took it to heart and changed his
Everything.
changed his behavior,
Everything.
and also changed your perspective?
Told me he loved me all the time, let me hug him. Not that he was ever an anti-hugger. It just wasn't even on his radar. I mean, it was almost like he became my shadow. It was almost like, dude, I need some space. But,
Your number one fan?
Yeah, but what did that say? He was listening. He heard
Yeah.
everything I said. And it was a joy to have him here. We got to work together at the end of his life, and he died shortly after he retired from here. And it was amazing. And here on staff, he was my biggest cheerleader, publicly and privately, And I don't think you worked together with him. He was gone.
No, yeah, he had retired a few years before and then passed away after Rebecca and I were married.
Yeah. And so and I didn't hire him. Our elders hired him. They interviewed him and hired him, brought him on. And I'll never forget, the elders told me later, they asked him a question. They said, "Well, if you serve here, how's it going to be serving here?" And he said, "Well, when I'm serving here, I'm Pastor Brian's associate pastor. I'm not in charge." And they said, "Well, what are you going to do if you get into a situation that could be tough?" He goes, "Oh, that's easy. I'll have him talk to his mother. She'll deal with that." But he was that way here. Whatever I wanted, whatever we wanted as a church, that's what he wanted to do. And so that was a beautiful life lesson as far as relationship. But at that table, he told me about his life growing up, what it was like for him. And really, typically, we try and do better, don't we, than our parents? And he wasn't using this as an excuse, but when I heard him tell his story, he had grown so much in comparison.
Yeah.
Yeah, like if you were to, I mean, you knew what would be my your grandpa a little bit, and probably discovered more of him and that story from Pop sharing with you.
I only have one picture with my grandfather,
Right.
and it's in front of a dog racing place in Florida.
Florida, yeah.
He was an alcoholic. He was not a good man. So I don't have any. So to see where my dad came from that.
Yeah, what I was getting at was that, like, comparing to his upbringing,
the
guy was crushing it as a dad. Your dad was crushing. But compared to, like, your experience or your expectation, your perspective was like, dude, you are dropping the ball. You're failing it, right? But he doesn't know that because all he knows is I'm knocking it out of the park. I'm doing way more than my dad ever did, right?
And to the point when my boys were growing up, it was important to me to be at as many games as I possibly could. Yeah. I mean, even to the point leading the church on Wednesday nights for during Wednesday night Bible study, I would literally contact our worship leader and I'd say, "Hey, start the service. Nathan's on deck, and I will get there eventually."
Right.
And it used to crush my wife privately when the kids would complain about me missing a practice or missing a game. She would die inside because she knew what that meant to me. If that makes sense.
Yeah, that's hard even for me when I have to travel for work. And the kids don't understand.
No.
I'm home all the time. But if I have to travel once every couple of weeks for work, it's like it's really hard for them.
Crushing, yeah.
It's really hard for them. It's really hard for me to like not be there to hear that.
Yeah, and it's their world. That's all they know.
Their world is all they know.
Yeah. So that's what it was like with my relation with my dad. A wonderful man, loved the Lord, was a great role model in so many ways. Was not a yeller. Was not, for the most part, the disciplinarian because he was gone. But when he did come home and got the updates, could do it if he needed to. But for the most part, even that.
Yeah.
He was the kind of guy that would crush me with his words, not his physical discipline.
Did he? So you said his relationship with you changed drastically after that breakfast in that booth. Do you feel like your relationship to him or your thoughts about him changed also? Like, did that
definitely
it changed the way you interacted
you
with
see
him
things
later?
through a different lens, and you go, all right.
Especially when you're a little bit older, then you're like, you really understand a lot of the struggles that they're going through. And you go, oh, yeah, I can actually relate to not having time or having to work 2 jobs or this or that. And
Right.
your perception of him, you never really saw what he was doing, and he probably didn't have a very good perception of what you were doing. But I just think, like, how many people sat down and had those thoughts and that plan to unload on their dad for all of their trauma and neglect throughout their childhood and worked up the courage and did it and dumped on them and didn't get the response that you get, right? So your response is a response of repentance and like actually being, you know what, you're right. Whereas I think most of the time, if I think about my own dad, like, but if I did that with my own dad, I think he would not have that response. I think most people, it's hard for them to have the heart of, you know what, I repent to a kid, and Nathan and I talk about that a lot. It's like, hey, saying, you know, letting our kids know that we're not perfect, being apologetic and saying we're sorry to our kids, and letting them know that we're just human beings too, and trying to figure this out. But
and I really have to credit my wife because I would not have had that conversation.
Yeah,
I probably would have died with all that.
Yeah,
put up a wall and just say that's just who he is. Forget it. And the other thing, just boasting on my dad for a little bit, he didn't throw anybody under the bus when he was doing that. He owned it. But he talked about his mother, his father, talked about my mother, talked about all these things. And again, he gave, well, this is why I probably have done this, but he wasn't throwing me under the bus, was very gracious. But I think the key to it as men is own your stuff.
Yeah.
That's it. Bottom line, just own your stuff and trust the Lord will heal you of that stuff.
Right.
Did you growing up? What was your idea of who God was? And I think what I'm getting at is that a lot of times we think about God's characteristics in the same way that we see our own earthly father's characteristics. So for me, I thought God was ready to spank me every time I messed up, right? Critical, uninterested, et cetera, which wasn't who God was, but that was my idea of who God was because that's who my dad was, right? So like growing up, what was your like idea of like God's like his character in relation to maybe what your dad looked like?
Yeah. And that was language around our house all the time. And we had national leaders in our house all the time.
Like church leaders, ministry leaders.
Christian
big
people
big
that,
people,
if I said their names and you were involved in ministry from the 60s to current day, you would recognize all their names. And so that's just my world that I grew up in. And so God wasn't something that I rejected or pursued. It was just language. And it wasn't bad, but it wasn't until I was married and I could speak with Christian language with the best of everybody and could use the words appropriately in a sentence, but had no idea what those words meant. And I remember I'm 21 years old. I want to look up in a dictionary, what does righteousness mean? What does sanctification mean? What does salvation mean? What are these words? I mean, I could use them, but I had no idea
what is glory. What is glory?
Glory,
Right?
Yeah.
Just what is it? You know?
Yeah. And I would encourage every man listening, if they've never done that, to do a personal deep dive in every single one of those words if they want to be a follower of Christ. And they could be using these words in common conversation, but still not know the depth of it. That was life-changing for me.
Yeah, I think that's interesting. And I was raised in the church too. And so I was raised from the same kind of like you, whereas I could speak Christianese. I knew it all. It was all just part of my everyday like existence. It's like I was born into it. But I think in some ways that could sometimes be a disadvantage because everything becomes normal, right? And you do learn to speak Christianese. And I think when you learn to speak Christianese, and maybe if it's something that you always had, it's harder to maybe be like authentic, if you know what I mean, right? Sometimes I'll even be praying and I'll be like, why am I speaking Christianese?
Yeah.
Do you ever do that?
Yeah.
Where you're like, oh, thank you, Lord, for the justification and then, like the sanctification. It's like, why am I talking like that, right? It's because like it's the Christianese part, but I sometimes I think that upbringing is harder to really like have an authentic relationship with Christ sometimes because you have to maybe unlearn a lot of stuff
Right.
in a weird way. I don't know.
And hypocrisy, if you grow up in the church, hypocrisy loses even the weight of that because you see so much of it. You think that's part of the journey.
That's the norm.
Yeah, it's okay to do that kind of stuff.
Oh, especially with having a father who's a leader, right, in the church.
Yeah.
Because then he's really up on like under a spotlight.
And I will say this about my dad. He was not a hypocrite at all. His biggest weakness is that he was not there. But he wasn't one of those guys. I mean, and he taught me his voice didn't change when he preached. He really was the same on the platform. So there's a lot of positives where a lot of kids that grow up with Christian leaders as parents, they see the hypocrisy. They see the double standards. And so we really didn't have double, which I'm very thankful for. And the older I get, the more I look back, I go, wow, I was really, really blessed in so many ways. But that whole hypocrisy thing, it's a personal thing. You've got to figure it out for yourself. It doesn't matter what anybody else says. What about you and Jesus at the end of the day? Right. And one of the things my dad would often say to me, he goes, buddy, the older guy said, whatever you do, never try to con God. And I say that often around here. He says, if you're mad, tell him you're mad. Don't lie to God. He can handle it. Like, okay.
Yeah.
So looking back, maybe it's better to come out of Nathan's voice. I don't think it matters. But thinking about in the realm of being a dad. Sorry, did you have another question about upbringing, growing up as
No.
Did you have anything you wanted to add about growing up with Pop or anything? Being a dad, like, and thinking in the realms of wins and lessons. Nathan and I talk often about more of our mess ups than our wins, but how can we learn from this? How can we grow from this? And I think we learn from each other, like taking, oh, he did that, make sure I don't do this next time or something. What would you say as a dad when you look back? You never stop being a dad, but when you look back on your tenure as a dad when we were younger, what's like a win that you have when you look back as a dad, and then what's a lesson? What's something that maybe felt like a loss and you're able to correct in the moment, or looking back, you're like, this was a loss, but now I try to help and share with other dads. This is vital. This is important.
The win that I would share, it almost sounds boastful on my side. I don't mean to be boastful.
Yeah.
All three of our kids said the same thing to us at different points in their life. When they went away to college, at different points, all three of them came back and apologized to us and told us how much they didn't realize how wonderful our family was until you go away and live on campus and you meet. And I don't even want to tell all three of our kids had different stories and different experiences. That was a win. And then one, and I am going to embarrass Nathan, my son, on this one.
Oh, goodness gracious.
And you've heard this story before, so it's okay.
He's pretty good at embarrassing himself.
And
to be
so-
honest.
I do enough of that
Nathan.
myself. Do I need other people to
I hope he doesn't
dogpile?
cry because you never cry.
Oh, my goodness. I might cry. We got tissues?
Yeah, and so
got
we've
tissues.
flown you home for something, and I can close my eyes, and you guys can listening if you're from here. We're at the Reading Airport, pre TSA, and we were waiting for the plane to show up. That beautiful international airport with the 12-seater.
It's like flying private, really. It's like a
Almost.
PJ. I just got a private jet.
Almost. Yeah. So anyway, so we're sitting there waiting for the plane, and you started crying, and you said to us, I said, "Mom and Dad, I hope someday I can have the same faith in God that you have showed me." And we both looked at each other. And in the conversation, from my perspective, what you were talking about is all the hard times that we had gone through as a family, but our faith never faltered.
Sure, yeah.
And that was just a moment that was a win for us, because what made it a win is you didn't purpose for those things.
Right,
You just
right,
lived it out.
right.
Another win that I can recall, and again, I hope I don't come across boastful because I'm just trying to answer the question.
Right.
Is one time when you and your brother and we were away for a weekend with a bunch of other people, bunch of men.
Yeah.
And you both came up to me after that weekend separately at different times and just told me how proud you were, because that weekend I was the same person there as I was in Reading.
Yeah, that word hypocrisy did not apply to you.
No.
in
no.
that weekend. Nor your life, but it's
And,
that, yeah.
and the reason I share that is because I wasn't purposing, just be who you are, wherever you are, whenever you are. And the other people we were with weren't total idiots,
Yeah.
but it wasn't like we were going somewhere and all of a sudden they become savages and but their personalities changed.
Yeah.
From my perspective, maybe you were there, but
No, I think you're right. I think they did change it. Caused me to like, I'm looking at my Justin like, what is this real? Come on.
But the win part of it was that you both came to me afterwards at different times and just mentioned that. Like, oh wow. So
Is there a constitution, a conviction within you, obviously to just be who you are, period. But was there any conscious effort on your end to be that as a model to your kids? Or was it just like, I'm just living this out. I'm living my life following Jesus. They're both kind of the same thing. Do you know what I'm getting at? Like, I'm just going to follow Jesus. Or was it also like, I need to live this out and follow Jesus so that I might be an example to my kids? Or was the example just happened? That's just the fruit of following Jesus. I don't know.
to be honest with you, it just happened.
Yeah. I kind of figured.
Honestly, because at the end of the day, who I need to impress is God and my wife.
Sure. Yeah.
And I want to impress my kids, my grandkids. As a grandfather, I have many of those moments now where I'm purposing to think, okay, my granddaughter's watching me. My grandsons are watching me. But one of the coolest parts of being a grandfather now is I talk about the Lord with my grandkids all the time and don't plan any of it. Mm-hmm. I wish I could have been like that as a dad, more organic. Mm-hmm. You know, just isn't this cool? Look at how this machine works. You know, that's how and draw everything to Jesus and not planning it out. It's just, isn't that cool? You know,
Yeah.
I want my grandkids to catch that. I hope they do one day. I hope God doesn't return for 100 years and their grandfather someday they can say, you know, my grandpa.
Yeah.
That would be really cool. That is cool. So,
what do you feel like the opportunity wasn't there as a dad? You said I do that more now as a grandfather than I did as a dad. I wish I would have done it as a dad. Do you feel like the opportunity wasn't there, or do you feel like dude, I was spinning so many plates.
That's exactly
Like my mind was in so many areas when my kids are asking questions that I'm trying to be present, but I also got all these other, kind of like Pop was maybe.
Yeah.
He had all these jobs.
Yeah.
So it was just more difficulty of mental
That's
capacity.
exactly what it is. I would have done that with my kids, except I'm spinning another plate.
Yeah.
I can recall one time when I literally was in shock when we were at my parents' house. Nathan, you were probably 3, and you're in your bathing suit. And my dad, remember, we're talking about a long time ago. He comes walking into the house, and I'm in the living room talking to my mom. And my dad walks in. This is to tell you how old it was. He takes off his sport coat, takes off his tie,
Right.
puts down his briefcase, gets on the floor with Nathan, and just starts messing with him. And I go, who is that man? Who is that man? And that's what I want to be today with my kids. Like, I don't care what's going on. Service can start in 5 more minutes. My granddaughter's in my office. You know what I mean?
Right.
Where when you're a dad's like, sweetie, I want to talk to you. We'll talk when we get home. I got to get out to the service. It's totally different worlds. But I don't know if say you earn that, but you do.
Is that come from time? Does that come from maybe experience and perhaps a lot of regret, maybe from the way you did it, or is that just like a maturity that comes with like being older? Which is kind of funny because by the time you figure it out, you don't have kids anymore, right?
No, that's why they always say grandparenting is so much better because it's true. It really is true. It's amazing, and I think if we're really honest with ourselves as men, sometimes we're harder on our first child. And it's an ego.
Preach. Keep going.
It's not on them, but it's on you.
Preach.
This is why he said this whole
is
thing up.
No, it's because like, dude, I don't care if you embarrass yourself, but you're embarrassing me.
Sure.
Knock it off, you know.
Yeah.
And then as you get older, you just change. You go, oh, come on, we can get over that one.
I just sent something to I'd pull up my phone if I had a minute, but like I just sent something to my wife about like firstborns that I had read in a book, and it described our firstborn like to a T. It was like, you know, they're stubborn, they have to carry a lot of weight, like they can be a little critical, they can be overthinkers, and the whole idea was, hey, take it easy on them. You put too much on their shoulders. They're just kids, like.
Yeah.
First pancake is always the best, right?
Well,
First pancake's always the best.
my wife is a firstborn, the oldest of 4, and here I am. I just had a sister who was older than me, but we lived in too many worlds that were so far apart. And I happen to know your oldest son, and I happen to know your oldest son, and think about what they carry as being the oldest. You know, as you start adding more kids, they didn't have a choice whether to pick up the diaper bag. They're cleaning up stuff, they're doing stuff, they're helping out because you're just trying to survive. You got another little boy, another little girl. You've got all this stuff. And these poor kids, they don't even know any different.
Right.
You know what I mean? And you didn't plan on doing that.
Yeah.
You're just trying to get to the car.
Yeah. I feel like, not constantly, but often, I think about my firstborn and with such sorrow. I'm like, oh, buddy, I'm sorry. Like here's a firstborn being raised by 2 firstborns.
Yeah,
which can be a bummer, but also can work to our advantage of like, I think my sensitivity to the concept of firstborn and the pressure, I think it's heightened.
Yeah.
Because I was a firstborn. Like there's more
And married to a firstborn.
empathy.
I can come and be like, dude, I recognize what's happening right now is a thing. Okay. And I just want you to know I see it. I hear it, and I'm going to try to ease up on it, but I'm sorry. But it's a thing, you know? Yeah.
Where were you, Nathan?
So I'm the second of 5. I'm the oldest boy, though.
Right.
But my sister, who's the oldest, who is the firstborn, she's very much firstborn. Like had to do everything, carry a lot.
Personality, everything's got to be perfect.
Personality, very controlling. She'll never hear this, will she? She's very controlling. Yeah, but you know, it made her very responsible. And she still has like a heart to like care for people because I had five kids, and dad was never in the house, and mom was over her skis. Yeah, for sure. So
yeah.
What about a lesson, Dad? Like when you look back, whether like it's an example of something that happened, or just looking back as a grandfather now, like, I lost that, but now maybe I can help other dads at least be aware. We all have different family dynamics and cultures and stuff, but something that you feel was a lesson that God taught you, or I don't know, a dad lesson.
Yeah, they're countless, because it's every day is a new day. And here was a lesson that was a good lesson to learn. Going back, and this is for all dads. There's your perspective, and there's your kid's perspective. And so this is an actual event that took place. One of our kids, adult, and I have 3 children. I'm not going to say the gender or whatever on purpose, but this one, it was an adult, and it was just the child. I'm calling the child an adult, and myself and my wife. The 3 of us were in a room, and this one started unloading, like throwing up on memory.
Like the breakfast booth, like you and Pop at the breakfast
like the
booth.
breakfast booth.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there, and it was so cool. The Holy Spirit just said, "Shut up and listen." And I listened. And it got to the point where my wife just, she waited also. And then she went into a whole nother gear of she was defending me in some ways, but she was bringing clarity. But my point is, from that child's perspective, this is how life was. And it wasn't right, but it was real to them. And my wife, because the attacks were coming at me, I think God used her to talk to this child, saying, "Back this boat up. Let me tell you exactly what it was like." And started naming dates and times that just basically took every bit of sting out of everything, and said, "You are totally wrong." But the lesson for me is, it doesn't matter. In that person's life, that was real to them. And we have to meet them where they're at. And so for fathers that are listening, if you can hold on to that, which doesn't matter how many kids you have, what gender they are, it's their world. And that's the life lesson. And just all you can do later on is do the best you can to move forward. Put a little side account for therapy now for them.
Thank you for that, by the way. I enjoy that check every month.
Yeah. And that's kind of how it is. And then I don't know if all parents did, but this is where I'm at. It's like, dude, later, this is many years later. That's your crap, not my crap. Get over it or live with it. I don't know, but I'm not going to be bound by this anymore. We're moving forward. Because it can only go so far, if that makes sense. But that's real life stuff.
What about can I follow up on the being present? I would title it being present. You're talking about as a grandfather, I can say no to X, Y, or Z, or be late because I'm playing with my granddaughter in my office or whatever. Would you do that differently as a dad? Like, do you feel like as a young dad, do you feel like you put too much weight or value on where you needed to be or what you needed to do more so than the being present as a dad? Like, how would you would you correct that if you felt like correction was needed?
If you could.
Yeah. But is it a mental thing? I guess I'm wondering, is it like in a disproportionate amount of value we're assigning to these things instead of being present with the kid? Or I mean, obviously we have to go to work, but
right. And you're dealing with priorities. You're dealing with, all types of things. So I don't know that you could rewind it and change the course either. Because I also believe in this, that's what God is doing, molding and shaping everybody. Some of the hard lessons that we went through probably were valuable for our kids, because one day they're going to have, where I'm going with this, they're going to go through it. Maybe God puts you in a home with a sibling that has certain challenges and you hated it growing up, but God was actually preparing you because you may have a child that's going to have that siblings deal, and you're going, ooh, now I get it. And so it's so exciting, you guys, to live it out and to be able to go slow and say, okay, what can I learn from this? And you also get to the point where I don't try and be perfect. I'm not trying to be the perfect dad, the perfect grandfather. I'm just trying to be who I am.
Yeah.
And you do as you get older, I think, at least in my case, I can't put it, is you learn to trust your wife more and more with her comments, or I think you got to call them. I think you got to write them. And I still battle this with my wife because first off, she's right most of the time. But second, I'm not her.
Yeah.
She's not me. And she's the perfect mom for those kids. And I believe I'm the perfect dad for those kids growing up. And even though we both met at the same goal, we did it differently. And if I try to do it her way or she tried to do it my way, it wouldn't work well, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And so they're strange lessons, but they're fun lessons if you can enjoy it, but they're hard. But as I've said many times, as your kids get older, the highs get higher, but the lows get lower. It's like, dude, I wish your hurt today was because you struck out and not because you got laid off.
Yeah.
Or you got dumped after a 5-year marriage.
Tough.
It just hurts so much more, and you weep for them, or because I know you two, and I don't know my son Nathan versus you, Nathan. You guys have some hard things. It is hard for me to watch you guys go through these because I hurt for you, not that you're, but I know that your hurt for your kid is like, but that's life. It sure helps you to appreciate the father and the Lord looking down on us. He's so good, honestly. Yeah.
I think we asked this of another interview. Maybe we asked this of Jerry. I can't remember. One of these episodes. I don't even know if it's in the episode, but I'm thinking now over your years of like vocational ministry, you come across a lot of dads, and you see the effects, positive or negative, of dads. In your years as a youth pastor and your years as a lead pastor, either it's people sitting at your desk or across from your desk. Is there something you see? Like, what is there a common thread as you do like a 30,000-foot view of all your interactions with dads and your effects of dads? Like, is there a singular like encouragement you want to give to dads, having learned from 40 years of talking with dads and seeing the effects of dads? Like, what is a common theme or thread that's like, dads need to know this, dads need to figure this out?
Yeah, how important your presence is to be with your kids. Yeah. It's not, please hear this, it's not the quantity of the presence, it's the quality of the presence.
Yeah.
That's huge. Because some dads are just annoying. They're at everything. Because in sports, you're like, some of these dads, you probably should go away for a week and not come to practice.
Was that too much quantity?
Yeah. It's like, whoa. Even watching your boys play the last several years has been a joy. But listening to some of the other dads in the stands, and it's also good to be at this age where I can just shut up, And every once in a while, I want to say something to my grandson. Hey, why don't you bunt? The other day, I told Jude to bunt. And I was going, shh, don't. That's not your role. And he tried it. It's like he looked at me like, she goes, don't do that again. Okay, but I haven't. In 3 years, I didn't tell him what to do. But I hear dads every pitch, every play, every
just overbearing, like over coaching.
And I don't even want to hear them. And I'm in the stands. Imagine what their kids are thinking. Like, please, Dad. Or mom.
Sometimes it's mom.
I'll tell you a funny story on that. So my kids, they're trying to get better at baseball. So I've been waking up at 6 a.m. with them to go to practice baseball. So this morning, I wake up my son at 6:30 in the morning, and we get out to the ball field by 6:45. And his whole thing is I want to get better. He's in the middle of All-Star season. He wants to get better. He's not really doing all that great. I think he's kind of learning that he can't do it all on just natural talent. He's got to work hard. So, I thought he's out there, he's wanting to work hard. So we're running drills, and I'm coaching him, right? I'm like, hey, you got to do this, you got to do that. Hey, don't do this, don't do that. and really like a big part of it too is I'm trying to like mentally like get him into place because everything he does wrong, he beats himself to pieces. And I'm like, you gotta like mentally like take a breath, calm down. And so we practiced for like maybe an hour and a half. And at
Wow.
the end of it, he's just like in tears. Curled up in a ball, like on the field, like he's in tears. And I'm like,
Because
what?
he is 12, right?
No, he's that makes me sound like a worse father.
No.
He's 10. He's 10. Okay, so but like that
Dude,
goes.
you could be arrested for this.
So that goes
This
back.
is going
to,
public.
that goes back. Well, this actually goes on back to perspective because I'm seeing things through my eyes and
Right.
not like his as a 10-year-old kid. And so really, it hit me because this is what he said, Dad. Could you just not be a coach anymore? I just
Yeah.
want you to be my dad.
Oh man.
This is not fun.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, oh, jeez. Right? So,
No,
That's hard.
Another great moment, and that my boys both did when they were little boys, is different times. I said, dude, what's the matter? Oh, Dad, I got a huge decision to make. I said, okay. Should I be a professional baseball player, basketball player, football player?
It's a big choice, man.
And that's what I said,
Yeah.
dude, really big choice. And I'm thinking, the only dribbling you do is when you're walking and it's coming out of your mouth. I've seen your speed. I've seen that.
he still dribbles out of
I
that.
do dribble a little bit, yeah.
But, the point is, but also I think I was blessed, with having realistic expectations of my kids. I always try to, because I was a coach also, I could say, all right, and I just want them to, like my dad, I just want you to enjoy playing the game, being a joy. If your sports, if that's your thing, being on the bench, being with the team, that's all I want you to enjoy. Because if you even get to play in middle school, that's a victory, or high school. And
Sure.
if you get to college and you play, that's amazing. Because they have no idea what percentage of a human being could be a major league athlete.
Yeah.
It's beyond, and even those guys that are there, that doesn't mean they're the best. There's
Right.
other things that they contribute that got them there.
Yeah.
I was thinking about that because I was like, hey, I know my kids. I don't want to break their dreams if they ever hear this, but like, I know they want to be professional baseball
Absolutely.
players.
Live that dream.
Yeah, and live that dream for sure. I think it's probably a long shot for them. And so, but it was interesting because I was thinking like, you know what? They're really putting in so much work at baseball and they're getting so much work at baseball. And I thought to myself, these guys are going to make great little league coaches when they have kids.
Or
know?
leaders in life.
Or leaders
I think it's
in
the
life.
great leadership
Yeah.
school you can ever go to. That's what sports I believe
yeah.
can be.
Yeah.
And for our and all of you have, I had a daughter, you have a daughter, you have a daughter. It goes there too, and what's really kind of really cool, and I think you two would probably agree, possibly your daughters could be the most naturally athletic.
Yeah. I think both of our daughters are.
sure.
Yeah. And I can
Getting
remember,
2 circles around their brothers probably.
yeah, and I remember one time when my daughter was in high school, I mean, she was ripped. She had a 6-pack, a natural 6-pack. And I'm looking at her little doughboy brothers who are trying to get it. And they're worked on, and she just, I never said a word, but I'm going, man, my daughter's ripped.
Yeah, she was probably more cut than Justin and I ever will be.
Dancing.
Yeah.
People have no idea unless they're the parent of a cheerleader. I mean, that should be a varsity letter at anything, what they go through, the stunts, the injuries, and yet they don't whine like our boys do. You
Right.
got a blister, how can I pitch? Shut up.
Yeah. Yeah, she was definitely tougher than us.
Yeah, in so many ways, but also tender in other ways. That's just amazing. And so being a dad is the greatest thing in the world. It's the greatest thing in the world. And I pray that you dads listening will just enjoy it.
Yeah. That's fantastic, man. Thanks for hanging.
All right.
Thanks for giving us some time. Could you pray for dads, for the dads listening, and the presence, the physical presence, the maybe healing, restoration of dads with their dads. Maybe some of these dads are going to have that conversation that you had with Pop.
And I wasn't planning on sharing this, but just so you were talking, I was thinking about this. There's a great chapter in the Bible to read. It's David is just getting ready to die, and he pulls his son Solomon aside, and he says, son, here's some things I want you to consider. And he says, remember this guy because he was a jerk. And when I'm gone, kill him if he messes up. Remember this guy, don't kill him because when your dad was down, this guy stayed. And he just starts lining up all these things that he was saying to his son. And I would encourage, it's off the top of my head, I can't even tell you the chapter, but it's either First or Second Chronicles. It's just David giving an address to just personal 101 to Solomon. And so, Lord, I thank you that you want us dads to pass on what we've learned, what we're learning, and to give a rich heritage to each one of our kids. Father, thank you that you know us well, that you don't expect perfection. Lord, I love how, Peter tells us that Jesus said, follow me, and I'll help you to become a fisher of man. I know you're on a process. It doesn't happen overnight. That you're helping us to become godly husbands, fathers, and some great grandfathers. In Jesus' name, amen.
Yesterday is over and the future has come.